Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we've got another edition of naval history news for you. There is a World War II warship that is going to be sunk probably this week. Now, by the time you're watching this video, there's a chance that she already has been sunk. The former USS Brattleboro PCER 852 is going to be sunk off of the west coast of the Philippines in a SINKEX, which is going to be conducted primarily by American forces, but it's going to be during a multinational training exercise called Balikatan, which in Tagalog means shoulder to shoulder. This exercise will include forces from the United States, the Philippines, Japan, and Australia. This exercise will involve air, land, and sea forces from the United States, the Philippines, Japan, and Australia. And this is the 40th Balikatan exercise that's being held. Brattleboro was built in 1944 as a patrol craft escort, which essentially was, they took the Admirable class minesweepers, of which one has been preserved as a museum ship, USS Hazard, in Omaha, Nebraska. But they took that base design and they modified it slightly to be, instead of a minesweeper, an anti-submarine escort ship, which meant it was not as big or powerful as a destroyer or destroyer escort, but it would free those ships up from coastal operations so they could do the more open ocean missions. She served with the United States Navy for about 20 years in a variety of different roles, including some experimental service. Some of the cool highlights of her World War II career were she started out in the Atlantic and she transferred 26 prisoners of war from U-505 back to the mainland and brought them into Norfolk, Virginia. So there's a connection to another museum ship. U-505 is in Chicago. After that, she's transferred to the Pacific, and because she has some expanded medical facilities, she's used in the amphibious operations of Leyte Gulf, Lingayen Gulf, and Okinawa to serve as something of a midway point for casualties being sent to receive more care. So troops wounded during the invasion would be triaged on the beach and then put in craft that would then take them to Brattleboro. She handled somewhere around 1,300 casualties during those campaigns. And then from her, they would be transferred onto ships with more capabilities like hospital ships, things like that, on their way back to landside hospitals. After about 20 years with the United States Navy, she's then transferred to the South Vietnamese Navy, where she serves for close to a decade along with some of her sister ships. And she became one of several South Vietnamese warships that escaped from South Vietnam as the country fell to communist forces in 1975. Like many of the other ships, she escaped from South Vietnam to the Philippines. And she spent over 40 years of service with the Philippine Navy. Her original World War II design made her perfect for patrolling the many littoral and coastal regions of the Philippine Islands. And during her time with the Philippine Navy, she was involved in a number of rescue operations and other things like that that are just a great continuation of the service that she was originally designed and built to do. It's easy to think of a nuclear aircraft carrier serving for 50 years or an Iowa-class battleship is serving on and off for 50 years. But the full-load displacement of USS Brattleboro is less than 1,000 tons. So she is a much smaller, much thinner-skinned vessel. So the fact that she served for something like 30 years before she got to the Philippines, and then the Philippine Navy was able to keep her operational for another 40 years, like something like 30 years longer than Battleship New Jersey was seagoing, or 4 times as long as Battleship New Jersey was in active commission. And so they maintained this ship for over 40 years. She's been in reserve since for parts and things like that, and so now she's going to be expended in this SINKEX. While it's easy to say that all ships should be saved as museum ships, that just isn't possible. So, getting another life, a last life in this case, is entirely fitting for a ship that has seen just as much service as the former USS Brattleboro. And so her final duty is going to be expended in this multinational SINKEX that's going to help strengthen the relationships of the various militaries that are involved here, and it's going to help develop the procedures for these countries with drastically different militaries on how they can mesh together in wartime. Specifically, the article that we read, there will be a link to it in the description below, says that they're going to use Marine Corps F-18 fighters to sink her. The squadron is normally based off of aircraft carriers. However, they're operating alongside an Air Force squadron and some other international squadrons out of Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines for this exercise. So they're also getting experience for deploying to this island chain to operate. At a time of increased international hostilities, it's very important for all these different countries to learn how to work together and to practice their naval strike capabilities. This is a skill set that has not been used by the United States Navy in decades and decades and decades. There was some strikes done against the Iranian Navy in the 80s, and before that, really the last maritime strikes that U.S. Navy and Marine Corps aircraft were doing was in World War II. So being able to expend a ship, which we're talking about a war-built ship, she was designed to go out, she wasn't necessarily designed to come back, that then saw more than 80 years of active service with 3 different navies, is a fitting way to expend that haul. SINKEXs like this are often used to test new tactics and new weapon systems. Oftentimes, there will be a schedule of attacks made, so it will not just be testing the pilot's ability to target and score hits, but it will also have time periods in there so that folks can go onto the ship and then look at how much damage this new weapon system has done or how effective the attack was. And things like this are very important in planning future weapon systems and in planning things like the design of future ships. If you see how this one takes a hit, then that helps influence the design of others. If you want to hear about some of the weapons tests that lead to the design of the Iowa-class battleships, let us know in the comment section down below. That might be a video we make in the future. Otherwise, my question for you today is, how many ships of a class do you think it's appropriate to save? While not specifically an Admirable-class minesweeper, Brattleboro is a subclass of the Admirables, like USS Hazard, which has been preserved. On the other hand, all 4 completed Iowa-class battleships were preserved. 4 Essex-class aircraft carriers have been preserved. Like, what do you think an appropriate number is of ships to preserve? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, subscribing so more people find out about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.